What is on the menu for tonight?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about juggling social media, being a social media influencer, creating content. Also throwing in the air, juggling your careers as well, trying to make that work. We're both married, as if you've been following us and listening to the podcast. Kim and Paul have been married for over 12 years, right?
About 12 years.
12 years. And then for us, we've been married for over, say, 17 years.
17 years.
Yeah, 18 years
Going on
this
18
year.
this year. And so we started making content and creating content in the middle of everything. So we were juggling marriage and careers, and then we also have kids as well. So juggling how to be parents and how to raise kids. And then, of course, with this territory, we also get pulled into doing community work too. So it's a whole mix of things, but let's start off with why we're talking about tonight, or why we're talking about this topic tonight is content creation. So I have a question just to kind of guide us here. For the both of you, like, what inspired you to start creating content? How did it all start from the beginning?
He got dragged into it.
I just got dragged into it. Like, I mean, I knew Kim always had it in there because I think we've been doing it forever, even before like we got big. I guess you know. I think Kim, she's been doing it forever now. Even before we had Hanzo, she was doing it.
Yeah.
I would do it, and then I would release it once in a blue moon. So like, I would release it onto my my personal page, and then it would hit like a lot of numbers. And then I go rest and I go do my thing again, and then I go back out and I'm like, okay, I feel like doing another video, and then I'll put another one out, right? So basically I did that, but then what really inspired me was just when we had Moon's, like, Moon Vane, right? So when she had her book, I was doing a lot of contents like promoting the book, and also I read the book and I was really, really excited about it. So I did a lot of content videos around that book, and then I hosted a event in North Carolina for her, and it was a meet and greet, right?
Yeah.
So basically her and her husband Q really pushed me and Paul to create a public page, right? Since we had a lot of followings already on my personal page, and it was just like, it would just be a good transition, right? So I was like, okay, well, let me just do this and see where it takes me.
No, you didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it at first.
I was like, you know what? I see the potential. I see like she's doing good, and then that's when I just created the page. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna create this page, and you just keep posting.
I'm gonna let him talk. I need to run to the restroom really quick. Okay,
go for it. So tell us, Paul, like, what did you do?
Watch out, honey, calm down. But yeah, so that's how it started. Like, we did the meet and greet, and then just talking to them, and just Kong Lord was there, so he really opened up our eyes on creativity and content creation, and just being out there like that. So I thought about it. Kim really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I think, because like I told you, I'm like, I see the potential you have. I see that not only are you bringing like realistic ideas and creation, it's also funny, and it's part of what the community needs. Is outside of music and outside of all this thing that's going on with Hmong in general. It's kind of like, you know what? You bring the reality of what it is, but you make it so funny and it's so relatable that people watch it and they're like, oh, that's I go through that. I go through the experiences, but now I see it in a different light instead of in the shadows. So I created the page, and I was like, hey, honey, you need to start posting here, not on your personal page. And like, it took her quite some time to get used to posting on the public page.
Yeah.
And every time she posted, I'm like, honey, can you stop posting on your personal page and do it on the public page?
Yeah.
I love it.
So I basically became like the manager of that page, or like her in general, but so yeah, then that's basically how we started everything, and now we're here, doing a lot of stuff we enjoy doing, traveling, and Kim entertaining people to an extent. It does get exhausting, but it has been a really fun journey.
What was it in Kim that you saw and you were like, this needs to be publicized, you need to do this more?
Yeah, so for her, I mean, that's one of the reasons I married her too, was that she was so just herself.
Yeah.
She didn't let anything or anybody kind of persuade her way of thinking or who she is. And when I started seeing more and more of that, I'm like, you know what? She's got a personality that's super contagious.
Mm-hmm.
A very obnoxious laugh that's also very contagious. You know, so
I love
I
it the
was
way you
like,
say it.
Oh man. See, I know you're true to
so
that because last episode we asked you like, what do you like about
yep,
Kim? And you said exactly
yeah,
that, the
I
laughter.
said that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, and I was like, I know for a fact that it'll draw in a lot of views, or not even views, just draw in the better side of things,
Yeah.
especially in the Hmong community, right? I just thought, this is gonna bring a different light to the Hmong community. Not only that, but it'll also bring a different light to Jaw Wanyalo.
Mm.
And then like as I got into it too, I was like, you know what, this will draw a different light as Becho Fotilo or Becho Tutel.
Yeah.
And it in a sense it did kind of what I was expecting. Because there's been a lot of Nyachelo that has been reaching out about things too, and
Mm.
very little Hmong men has come out because again the ego, the pride is still there holding on, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah.
just barely by a thread. But I know eventually they'll start to come or be more expressive, at least to me. I'm like, I don't expect you to go to my wife about it, but if you come to me about it, I'm all ears.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just really her very contagious personality that I saw could make a difference in the shadows that most people are living in.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that you said it and from the perspective of a man to see what it could do for Baekhyun Tai, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because I don't think that a lot of maybe spouses would feel that immediately, where you may even
Right.
feel I don't know, like intimidated, intimidated by her presence and her ability to be commanding, of
Right.
an audience, or the ability to put herself out there. Sometimes people would be like, good samoa,
Yes.
so there's a lot of that. I feel like a lot of people might, would have, I would say, even come up to you and be like, don't you feel embarrassed being by her side, with her doing the things that she's doing, because she's
Yeah.
putting herself out there and crossing the red tape.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
and yeah, so now you're saying that there has been a lot of trollers out there, right?
Oh yeah. You gotta expect that.
Early years, it's nothing to yeah, right, nothing different. It's definitely
Yeah.
expected.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, boy, I don't know, really don't care, right? But they're like, oh, your wife is creating a career, your wife is making you famous. I'm like, guys, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not
Yeah.
here
Mm-hmm.
to take the spotlight. Like my wife is here I'm here to help her take the spotlight because she deserves it, one, and two, she created this on her own. I'm just here really just catching the drift, be here as her support, as her backbone. Because if she falls, I'll fall, or if I fall, she falls too. So in the end, it said, in my post earlier, I said it takes two to make the dream work. It was a lot, yeah, well, right, but just shy, and then you get so overwhelmed with stress, you just kind of give up. Uh, but yeah, there's been
That's
so
so
many of those comments,
weird.
and I'm just like, guys, y'all need to calm down. Like y'all, and I'm pretty sure it's a man talking behind those,
Really?
keyboard warriors, right?
Probably.
Oh,
Because
wow.
Yeah.
of how they put it out there,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, Paul, you're um just taking the
Like, we
spotlight,
feel
and
so
like your wife
bad
is
for
doing every work
you.
when you come. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that's not the point here. Like,
Mm,
I don't see how y'all can think like that. And
mm,
if you are married, be like that because
Yeah.
it again, it takes two to make things work. And if you think like that and go with Lisa, look at you're gonna go and talk with the punya, and you're gonna go find another one, and the same thing's gonna happen all over again. So
Gosh, just hearing you say that, Paul, of course, I'm a psychologist. I can't help but start psychoanalyzing like all those things. Why people? It's just interesting that they would shift the conversation
right,
to you, right? Like Kim's
right,
doing all
Yeah.
of this, and the conversation, the spotlight doesn't stay on Kim, but it suddenly shifts to you.
right,
And the question is, what are you doing? Why is Kim
yep,
carrying your career? Like as if that's
right.
what you were trying to do, right? So I'm just so curious. Like I would really love to have a conversation with those
I do
people,
too.
and
with
I
those
have
people.
I have a lot of questions.
I do. That's why I'm like,
Yeah.
if y'all know me enough, if y'all could just come to me, sit down,
Um,
and we could just have a very
mhm.
mutual
Open.
Yeah.
Yep.
adult conversation about
Yes.
why do you think like that. and
Yeah.
then again, I would express to you how I'm seeing life, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you know, a little bit off topic. There was this one person or chick that did write something about me. It's like, oh yeah, I know Paul. He's such a douchebag. He's an a hole, and like
Wow.
he has such a high ego and pride. I'm like, you could ask anybody that I have ever spoken and talked to. I'm the most selfless person in the world.
Mm.
And I'm like, if they know me, they would not be saying stuff like that. Every
Yeah.
person that you could talk to that knows me, they're like, yeah, Paul,
Mm. Mhm.
great guy. He'll give you whatever he has on his bag.
Mm.
Law, he will be there to give you whatever he has. So I'm like, oh, you know, got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
But
I feel
Yeah.
like maybe
it
they're
is what it
just
is.
I don't even think that person knew him personally. I
No,
think
Yeah.
it was
I
just
don't think
based on
so.
what she heard, or maybe from a mutual friend that might have
Mhm.
known Paul, or
no.
you know.
Mhm.
I don't have much
Yeah.
friends, so
Or
But
maybe it's those years when you were 21 for 4 years.
you're right. That might be true.
That's probably
Yeah.
where she met you.
She met you at the
He
club
be
with the
lying
fake
about his
IDs.
age. He keeps saying he's 21 for 4 years.
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Um,
So Kim, what was your first video? Do you remember the very first video you put out? And the very
your
first
first
creation.
baby.
Yeah.
Like ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, you did a lot back at
I
the
did a lot.
apartment.
I was probably like in my early 20s.
But
Mm.
if we were talking about like the first video that really got big and got
Yeah. Like took off and got
like just
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
took off was your who
No,
that
no,
song?
it was what?
Who that song?
Oh
The one
yeah.
they got on Silver's radio?
Yes, actually, yes. Now that you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
so there. Okay, so during
Pandemic.
the pandemic, we stayed
Mm.
home a lot, right? So I don't know if you remember, but we stayed home, and then we got stimulus checks, and then like there was nothing else to do but eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember just being home, and I was constantly eating, right? Like
Uh,
not earlier, right? So I just was like, so this was my first time exploring music on my own, right? And I was like just writing, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, not rolling you know." So then I literally just started write like a lot of lyrics started coming through my head, and then I just started writing it down, and then next thing you know, I recorded it really fast in the kitchen,
Yeah. Just
and
props,
then
make it work.
I recorded it in the kitchen. It was no big deal. You know, it was just for my friends and for my families, right? So I was just like, well, let me just post it. I think it'll be something funny, right?
Yeah.
So this is the Huda song called Sa Not Door, right?
Uh,
And so funny because it was posted on my personal page, and that night my phone was getting so heated from all the
mm-hmm.
notifications where my phone almost
Comments,
blew up.
shared, likes.
Yeah, I had so many views, so many likes, so many comments, and I was like, I was so overwhelmed. I was like, "Oh my god, what is happening? Like,
Yeah.
this video is going viral."
Yeah.
And a lot of people started following me, and actually during that time, Silver reached out to me, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Hey, sister, you know, I really like your new song that you just posted up. Do you mind if I share this on my radio?" And I was just like, "Oh," at that time I didn't know who he was, and then I was like, "Yeah, sure." So he shared it, and so then my sister-in-law, who used to do pageantry, she was like, "Oh, I know her. That she goes, I know him. That's Chuck P."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "Yeah, like he has his own like little radio podcast now." And like, I was like, "Okay." She's like, "Yeah, he's pretty big in the community." So he literally played it. I think it was like 10 o'clock here Eastern time. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he had messaged me and was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to play your song on
Yeah.
my radio." So everybody tuned in, and then like my song was playing on it, and I was like, I thought it was hilarious because it was literally recorded in the
In the
kitchen.
Yeah.
kitchen, inside a cabinet.
that's all it takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Mm,
so actually, so that song was the
what
first one
really?
that went
Yeah.
really, really
It's
viral.
like
And
Mm.
got
then
like over 1 million views and
that
shares
it
and
had a
likes.
lot, yeah. And then
Wow.
three
Mm-hmm.
years ago when I first came into Life of
Yeah,
KPH,
when we actually created the page, it was the white riding the white dragon that got big.
well, I was gonna also add to that like we actually remastered the
Oh yes,
song,
yes.
Okay.
and
oh.
then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so then we
Brought it back.
brought it back and posted it. So that's when the name Huda came through too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, because yeah, it was just like one thing. It's like, you know, we enjoy food. Food is like a little bit of
Food is life.
yeah, food is
Oh yeah.
life. Food is a little bit entertainment, right? So
Mm.
yeah, so that was one of the first videos that went
Yeah, that
viral.
went super viral.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow.
And then from then after that, I was just kinda like, "Oh, yeah," so that was it. That was the first video, and then I think it was a year after
it
with
was.
Moon's book, right?
It was here. Yeah, we moved first to so
Mhm.
21 and 21 was when we created it.
Yeah. But I think that video then, the video that the Who Da video, that was probably back in 2020.
18.
No, it was 2020.
No, because we were back at the house. It was before Hanzo.
No, Hanzo was born
Or
already.
was it?
It was during the pandemic. He was born before the
So
pandemic.
that might have been, yeah,
It was in 2020.
1920. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But then, after that, then I think what really inspired me to start being a creator was, I think at some point in I had a hit an epiphany, and I was just kind of like thinking and just like self-reflecting and thinking about my whole entire life because during that time we had lost so many people during COVID. Like
Oh yeah.
like there was a lot of people our age that passed away, right? And people that we knew, people that we knew of, they were all dying from this horrible virus.
Yeah.
And so I was just thinking like all the things that we could have done or we could do, like why don't we just do it? Because we're not promised tomorrow. Like anything can happen, right? I so there's a friend in North Carolina, and her husband actually was only the same age as Paul, and he had passed away. I don't
Mm.
wanna throw any names in there, right? But,
Yeah.
you know, but she had her husband, had was the same age, and he had passed away, and she had 5 kids, and she was actually pregnant um during the passing of her husband,
Wow.
and it just really
Wow.
made me think about my whole entire life. And she even, mentioned that there's just not enough time, and I just thought to myself that that could happen to any of us. And why do we spend our life so hard trying to please other people and
Mm.
putting ourselves back from the things that we truly want to do just because other people don't agree with it? And
Mm-hmm.
I knew that coming into being a content creator that my mother-in-law and his family may
Mhm.
not have approved, and my parents might have had a lot of opinions on it as well as the public, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because I realized that when you die, it's like
All that just
you
washes over.
it washes away, and then if you're gonna get remembered by something,
You'd be like, damn,
be remembered by something that you
Jimmy
wanna be
Mama,
remembered by,
¿por qué
you
Yeah.
está
know?
loco? You know what I
And
mean?
not by what other people wants to remember you
Mhm.
by.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do. I was
Mm.
like, "You know what? I don't wanna live my life with regrets. I wanna be able to do all the things and be okay with it, and people can have their own opinions, and, you know what it's like being a nyabi, itong time hong, and
Mhm.
having all those pressures and judgment placed upon us all the time, and I just thought to myself, like, I spent my whole life in hiding and always trying to be boxed in, like, why do I
Mhm.
have to live my life that way?
Yeah.
So, I was like, I don't wanna do that anymore. I wanna bring some colors into Paul's life and to other people's lives. I wanna do
Mm.
things and it's for me, it's not just for others, it's for me because it makes me happy. So, that's the reason why I decided to start doing, um, content creating.
Mm.
That's so key.
Mhm.
I want to just highlight that one more time for the listeners
Mhm.
too. Is
Yeah.
that last piece you said there? You sounds like you're not creating content to please other people, but you're
No.
creating content because it's something that you enjoy, but
Mhm.
also knowing that there may be disapproval as well from
Mhm.
maybe family or
Mhm.
friends or maybe the public. But this is you. This is what
Mhm.
gives
Oh,
you that
yeah.
sense of peace and joy. And you're not
Mhm.
really trying to do it to gain approval from other people. You're
Mm-mm.
just being
Nope.
you, whether
Right.
people like it or
Mhm.
not.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that because like I said, like I feel like a lot of us can agree with it. Like not 被我宁愿一起more like
Mm.
处理做对一起演you like you're
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
gonna have people that
Mhm.
you more, so
Right.
I just felt like I've spent my whole life being boxed in and trying to please other people who never approved of me or don't like me, or maybe you
Yeah.
grew up in a family and family dynamic that was really, really hard on you or very judgmental or set a really high standard,
Mhm.
for their kids. And so I just was thinking like I don't want to live like that.
Mhm.
And I want to just do it for me because I don't want to always try to do things for others. And when you live your life always trying to win your own family's or friends' approval, it gets exhausting. So at this point,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, why does it matter if the public view me in a different way? Because even sometimes the closest people in your life are already placing those opinions and judgment on you.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
plug in a Hmong proverb right here. I think this is a worthy spot for one.
So
Perfect
so
time.
Because
appropriate of
it's
you.
just how it works when we have conversations and Hmong proverbs just comes in. But there's a Hmong proverb, Hmong family that says, "Chok wen chok ho la tsu, chok wen chok le la tsu." It's very
Nice.
short, and that's all it is. Basically, what it means is you poop on land, you're at fault. You poop in the water, you're still at fault. Because if you poop on land, people are going to be like, no, don't poop here. We live here. Go poop in the water. And you go to the water, you need to go, and you go poop in the water. They're like, don't poop here. We're fishing. We're going to eat the food. Go poop on land. So it's almost like you got to go. You can't hold it anymore. Wherever you poop, someone has something to say. But the moral of this Banlu is that if you got to go, man, just go. Who
go.
cares about what
Yeah.
people say?
It's
They-
like, damn
they
if you
deal-
do, damn
Yeah,
if you don't.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Y'all deal
Yeah.
with it. I got to go, man. Nature calls.
Yeah.
So if you got to
Yeah.
go, just
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when your phone was blowing up, what was going through your mind? I just want to dig into that just a little bit more because your phone all of a sudden was going like crazy.
Well, the first thing, my dad actually he saw it and he was laughing the whole time, right? And
Yeah.
so I was even like everybody was just my friends and families were just like telling me like, "Oh my gosh, Kim, you're going viral." And the first thing that popped in my mind was like, "Mom, Dad, I'm
I'm
famous."
famous.
it's natural, right?
Oh, that's too
Yeah,
good.
that's a natural reaction, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was the first thing that I said was like, "Guys, look, I'm famous."
Yeah.
That's so,
So
funny.
funny.
And I couldn't believe it because I was like, I literally spent a whole day writing the song and like did it really quick while
Yeah,
he was
just
at
for
work.
fun.
And then
Mhm.
I was also a stay-at-home mom at that time.
Mm.
And so, I was wearing like burger
Yeah.
dresses and burger shirts all day long. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, let me
That's
just do
so
Thank
this.
God for
And
filters, man.
I know.
Yeah.
So then I
Blur
was
it out.
thinking like, oh wow, I just can't believe it. Like, and, people are noticing this song.
Mhm.
So yeah, those were the first things that popped in my mind.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's actually very encouraging though, because you were only just a stay-home mom, and people would just feel like that's not validating enough. But in that, you don't amount to anything. But just hearing your story is just, it's so profound. It's so profound, and I hope it's awakening for people who are listening. That you all you need is just yourself, to believe
Oh,
in
yeah.
to believe in yourself, and that's all you really need. Mm-hmm.
And I think Calvin, Zong and Calvin, I think you can agree with it too. I feel like you build a platform and a great following when you're just being authentically yourself, right?
Yes.
Because I feel like when you pretend to be someone you're not, then like you're not being true to yourself. And then once people
Yep.
find out, I feel like in a way people can always sense if someone is genuine and sincere, right?
Yeah.
And if you're being yourself. So that's why I say that it's important that you live your life separate from social media, yes, but then still don't lose yourself in the process. Be yourself and people would just appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean,
And
humans, we're smart. We're smart.
Mhm.
But we can sniff out when people are not authentic, like
Yeah.
when they're trying
Right.
too hard. You can
Right.
tell.
Yeah.
When
It just
they're
doesn't
being all
feel right. You
fake.
watch it, you're like, I'm just not into this. Like
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
not pulling
Yeah.
me in.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can totally tell. Yeah.
and going back to how when we all first met, right?
Oh yeah.
I think
know,
that was the
right?
first thing we said to each other,
Yeah.
right? Because I feel like oftentimes we do get to meet a lot of people, right? But we
Yeah.
don't really get a chance to really sit down and enjoy conversations and make deep emotional and like genuine
Yeah,
connections.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first thing that we all said to each other was like,
Let's go eat.
let's go eat, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember you said, you know what, Kim and Paul, you guys are exactly how I pictured you guys to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was thinking the same thing too. And I remember I told you, I was like, I agree. You turned out exactly to be who I thought you would if I was to meet you. So I
Yeah.
think that is a part of just being yourself and authentic, right? You can
Mhm.
you get to see someone on screen and then behind you get to dive in deeper and know who they are, but it's
Mhm.
still who they are who they are on social media as well. You
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
have more layers to you,
Yeah.
more dimension that we get to know on a deeper level.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy. Yeah, because I maybe this is something for us to share to people who want to be content creators too, is to be authentic is the way to go. Because if you show online and you
Mhm.
become this different personality online, I mean, it's a good thing because you're acting as well. But then again,
Right.
you start to garner and you have a huge following of people, but they're following you for that thing only. And if that's
Mm-hmm.
not you, eventually you start to get tired. You start to burn yourself out because you have to
Oh, yeah.
play this
Spiral.
random
You're like
person,
exhausted.
and it's not really you anymore. And so
Yeah.
the moment you switch to become more authentically you, now it doesn't jive well with the followers because they're like, this is boring now. And then now you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you have to keep it up now. Now you're stuck playing this person that's
Yeah.
not you. So my advice for a lot of people who are thinking about being content creators is just be you, be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, I think it's okay to explore different sides of you and to slowly express that part of you to the viewers and to the public, right? Because I think when I first came on, I was more like, I did comedy, right?
Yeah.
And then I did music. Even now today, people are like, I still get one or two comments here and there, like, "Oh, you're a content creator. You should just stick to being a
Comedian or a content
comedian and
creator.
not do music." And I'm like, well, I feel like these are different parts of me that I get to
Right.
share, though. Like I could be this and I could be that. I can be a business person. I could be all of the
Yeah.
above because these are all different layers of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get to showcase all of that, and people can appreciate it from all angles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So so I feel like it's okay to explore and express a lot of those different layers of yourself to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're still being yourself, right? And not just oh, I'm just this perfect person who never doesn't make mistakes, and I'm a saint and I only speak on this and that, and then next thing you know, you're doing like dirty songs, and it's just like, wait, hold on, hold on.
That's one of these moments right
That's
here where
funny.
you're like, oh no, wrong one. No. Where is that's the one right there. I'm looking for that one, like this sound. Man, I suck at that.
It's okay.
Well, anyways, I mean, I want
Work in
to.
progress.
Speaking of that, I want to move on to the part where you're talking about like just creating content, seeing different parts of yourself, and so maybe this is a question for Paul. First is when you started noticing that Kim's videos were taking off. You talked about like you helped Kim design and come up with this page here. What impact, if anything, did you both start noticing that was starting to arise within maybe yourself as personally or within the family? How is that changing?
I mean, it's always gonna be changing to be better, not any worse. Because for me, I think it when we first started, and then when it really got booming, I guess, and then when like Kim got really serious and really um, focused and really just concentrated on that.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, for me, I'm like, okay, did I screw up? Because like now she's forgetting me and the kid,
You're so
Oh
and now
funny.
she's just
yeah,
all about this and that, and I'm like, did I do something wrong? Should I just, stop this page? Because now, like, I'm forgotten, the kid's forgotten,
The house.
yeah,
the house is forgotten, you know. And then like, I mean, we
True.
we eventually had our talks
Conversation.
and conversations
Mhm.
about that, and got to an understanding and mutual grounds, right?
Mm,
And like, and goes back to what I'm saying, that now we're just forever progressing to
Mhm.
be better, and really in a good place, because after having those conversations and understanding each other's feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go back to that too. Um, we kind of set boundaries for each other on what we expected from this
yeah,
and how we can help each other. That way, me and Hanzo don't get neglected, or she feel like I don't love her enough to help her do her videos,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
all those are factors to
Yep.
to a successful page and
Mhm.
content creation, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Has to be a balance.
Yeah. So after that conversation, and a couple other ones we get on that, we eventually got to a playing field. But like, you know what? I created it. I take full responsibility as well, because I saw something new that the community was going to enjoy. So now I
yeah.
have to suck it up,
Suck it up,
take the
buttercup.
hit,
Yeah.
take the hit, and just ride from there. Because right now, like for me, I at that time, I'm like, we're already at the bottom. The
Yeah,
only way now is up, right?
yeah,
Um.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so there for me, I just decided, I'm like, you know what, that was my fault. I did overreact. I created the page. I created this platform for you to do what you do best.
Yeah.
And I couldn't I couldn't just be like, no, I'm gonna turn it down or turn it off. Like, I can't do that because you enjoy this. If I take that, then you're gonna be a depressing piece of log in this house. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
Because you
I
don't
was
want to
actually
strip
enjoying
anything
it.
away. Yeah.
I was actually enjoying it a lot, and I think like I agree with everything he said. There was no balance,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Because we both worked really hard too. I was
mhm,
working 12-hour shifts. She was
Mm.
working too. And then when she came home, all she did was that, and I was
mhm,
home cooking, cleaning, watching Hanzo,
mhm.
getting her fed, make sure she took a shower.
Speak more to that, Paul,
I want to hear about that.
as you're talking about that, we had the same experience too. I
same
mean, I'll have her
experience.
share her experience, but speak
Oh,
more to
I'll
that.
share.
The
Just
part-
wait. I
The
will
part
share.
where you said you felt like you were being forgotten. Like, talk more about
Yes.
that. Like, what was that
Yes.
like? Yeah.
Yeah, so during that time where I felt like I was forgotten, right? I knew in the back of my head, I knew that I wasn't forgotten.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it just I knew for a fact it was, but just everything was kind of like, oh my gosh, she's doing this too much, and or like but you need to knock highly law, you know, and then her
Mhm.
son would be like, mommy this, mommy that, and she's like doing her own thing still, and like and
Yeah.
I'm like, honey, go to 都让着楼下 you know, and she's like, huh, what? So that's when I'm like, you're like, something's wrong here. Like, I see you, I know what you're doing, but like you're forgetting that you also have
Mhm.
a husband and a son, and on
Mm.
top of that, you know, we have this house we still gotta maintain. Even though I do it too, it's
Mhm.
just like there's other aspects. Like my cleaning is not her cleaning, right?
Yeah.
And vice versa. So during that time, I was like, dude, I just feel like I'm forgotten. I'm like, I'm not even here. Like, with the door up at the log, still the same spot. I'm never gonna make a dent in her.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my
so at
goodness.
that time, that's what I was feeling during those moments because I was like, man, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
I created this for us and for you, but like, it's
Mhm.
now just you and
Yeah.
us has been forgotten.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Would you like to share your experience because this sounds so
Do I
familiar?
want to share? Okay,
I
so
want to hear it.
he actually started his first video that took off on his personal page too.
Same thing.
And his phone was blowing up the same way, Kim, where I'm like, can you shut it off? Can you shut it off? Because it was bothering me more than it was bothering him. And then he, at the same time, he was just like, oh my gosh, this is taking off. Like, this is really taking off. I think it was your
My very first Banlu
your
video.
very first Banlu, and
Yeah.
it was just out of a whim, like what Kim was saying earlier about, in the moment you just feel it and then you just do it, and then he released it. He wasn't
Right.
expecting anything from it, but he had to get something off his chest, and so he did it, and then it took off. And then I was like, you need to just start a page. And funny story is that he is the most probably tech illiterate person you'll ever meet at that time. He's not really into, he wasn't really into apps. He didn't really understand half of the things that was happening into the pages. And so I created a page for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the name, he got into it. He goes, okay, I need to come up with a name now. I was like, okay, all right, come up with a name, and then we'll come back to it. And then
I came with a good name.
He came up with a name, and his name was.
So shameful. It was Hmong cultural teaching.
I was like, I looked at him and I was like, so dumb. I was like, that's a terrible name.
I got it. I got it. I
No,
thought about
I
this
was
all
like-
night. I crossed off like 10 names. I was like, this
He
is
was
the
so
name.
proud
This
of
is it.
himself. I think I gave him maybe almost a week,
I
and
was like,
he was
ready,
like,
ready?
I
Here
got
it
it.
is.
I got it.
Hmong cultural teaching.
I was
She was
like,
like, you're an
That's
idiot.
crappy.
Hmong cultural teaching.
That's not even genuinely authentic. It's almost like you just pulled it out
Oh
of
my
like.
It sounds like a non-profit
Yeah,
organization.
I know exactly.
That's what I said. So I was like, oh my gosh, just let me cook. Let me
gave
go
it a
do
look. I
some
was like,
research.
you don't like
and
it.
then let me come
You
back.
hate it,
And
yeah.
I'm creatively as a writer, I'm a great creative writer. So in general, I was like, just let me go do some research and let me just figure out the meanings. And I like to hold very true to meanings of words because they live with you for the rest of your life, despite of whatever you created for it. And so we came up with dictum dose. I said dictum, it means an idiom. It's actually more of a legal term at that time. Long story short, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I was doing a bunch of other research on it. And I was like, I think you should use the word dictum. And then it should be a dose. Like if you do this, you're going to give them a dose of these types of, maybe teachings,
Mm-hmm.
things that people can pick up, these idioms for life, and it can have a meaning in many different ways, right? And so we named it Dictum Dose.
Dictum Dose.
Yeah, so we named it Dictum Dose, and it flew. It went off the charts. And back to Paul's point and his feelings, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Because
What did he do?
man, there's
I created a monster.
Yeah.
It was even worse. It was even worse because I feel like I propped him up and baited him because he was getting like a lot of interesting DMs. A lot of people would be sliding in there with a lot of other intentions than Baloo. It wasn't about Baloo. And I was just like,
Really?
oh my gosh, what did I do? It's like people want to be your Nayao.
Oh my god.
It got to that point where I was like, oh man, we need to sit down and talk about where this is going. What's your goal?
Right.
I don't know. I was like, at one point actually it got really rocky where I told him I need to sever myself from this. And so I actually was not a part of his content creation for maybe even a year, almost a year and a half, because I couldn't take the amount of attention that he was getting, especially because people were I think for a lack of better words, just disrespectful. Some people with other angles and other maybe hidden agendas that wanted to be wanted to put themselves out there for other reasons, right? And so I was like, I can't stand this. But at one point or another, he can speak to it too. He was like, I kind of like this attention, right? So we were already in that kind of rocky state of our marriage too. There's 4 kids, I believe. Yeah, we already have four kids at that time. So
you guys have 5 now?
No, we have 4 kids plus a dog, so that's 5, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, that's 5. Yeah.
But it was rocky. I got to the point where I had to take a step back, and it's the same thing like what Paul was saying. Like laundry still has to get done. Kids got to still be fed. You still have to mother them and father them, and we had to really talk about that too. I felt like
Careful.
that in itself was a really long process, though. It wasn't like.
It just feels like a long process.
Yeah, like the way you talked about it, Paul, it sounded like you guys talked about it and just, you iron out and then you guys, it was legit. But I feel like it kept on coming back up.
Mm-hmm.
Like bit yeah, they had that, okay, we're going to do this. And then it just somehow everything just goes back to the way it was again. And then we have to talk about it again because new things would come up, new experiences would come up. Mm-hmm. And then we'd come back to the same spot again. Then we would have to try to relearn that. And so eventually, I honestly still think that maybe we finally came to like real good boundaries, maybe only like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like solid ones. Even though we came up with some before, we're like, okay, let's chalk that and do something else. And then up until this point, I feel like, we have a really good sense, so much better equilibrium in the content creation, because for me, I was always like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want the kids to be on camera. I was like so protective of our family. I was like, I don't want people to see our bedroom. That's like weird. I was not like you. I was not that supportive. I was just supportive where I was like, let's just put it on this platform. And then, you just work through it. I'll support you. Right. I was trying to be supportive, but I can't say that, I was always like 1,000%, his partner.
Yeah, I think as I'm listening to you both talk, I remember you were just kind of what Paul's saying, like the house is not being clean. There's a lack of attention. There's neglect. I just remember for me, I was just always on my phone trying to edit my videos and do all these things with my videos and post it and read and respond and stuff like that. And in my mind, I was thinking, I'm starting something and I want to continue to cultivate it. So that was going through my mind, but not realizing that on the other side of things, for her, she was feeling super alone in that process. Like she felt like she wasn't a part of it. She didn't know what was going on. Maybe sometimes the DMs came in and she thought that maybe I was responding to the DMs. Who knows? But I think she was just starting to become, so she started to become very like jealous. I won't say the name of the person who I'm thinking about here, but
what
it was this.
There's a person?
Oh yeah, there's a person.
I don't know who
there
this
was a person that she just got like really like not really catastrophizing, but her mind went
I do
somewhere else.
remember. Yeah.
And she started thinking, well, if you become like, this star and you start to climb up, this level of stardom, you might eventually get to work with this person. You might eventually come in contact with this person, and maybe something might happen. Maybe you might like them more than I do.
Worst, huh?
Yeah, I think the worst. Yeah.
Yes, and I actually started to catastrophize, and I started to like spiral because people were kind of like sexualized, and even some of our female artists in our community, they were really sexualized, to a certain point where that's actually what people mostly wanted to see them for, like go to their concert for, because they wanted like to see a piece of that ass or whatever you want to say, And then I got really insecure with that because he started to get big, and then people wanted to collab or wanted to meet up, or just like mingle, or like him share like the same stage as that person or whatever. And I did get really insecure about it, but what I found out was that our marriage was probably on rocky terms, and we needed to work out our insecurities in general way before social media ever was a thing. Yeah, so once we actually did really peel back the onion, it was like, oh my gosh, it's not about that person, it's about me. It's about my own. It's about me. It's my own insecurities from back, even when we were dating, right? It goes all the way back. So we really had to work out through that.
Did you experience any of that, Paul, during that time?
Yeah. Not talking about it, I did. I mean, I was insecure.
Yeah.
But that got me to where I am today, is because the whole time that was happening, I was like, you know what? You're seeing all these great people, or you could be traveling without me, and again, that's already enough for me to be like, no, because if you travel and something happens, it falls on me, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't go with your wife, so now it's your fault that things happen to her, right? So I'm like, no, you can't do that. Not only that, but just meeting artists low, or to like other business people in general, or stuff like that, right? And to me, I was just like, man, what if she just like thinks I'm a bum, and that I'm really just piggyback off for her, and she go do this and do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was in a dark spot. I was in a dark spot.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't long though. I wasn't in it for long, because for me, the way I see it, it's kind of like it's feelings come and go, just like how the rain comes and go, right? So and feelings, I can actually control that. So it's kind of like when I got into that particular state of mind, I was just like, you know what, I gotta get myself out, because at the end of the day, if I know that I can't be okay alone, then I don't need to be with anybody at all.
How did you do that though? How did you get yourself out?
It was I don't know. And see, now thinking about it, it's hard to remember, because it's almost like a blackout, and next thing you come out, you're already, all right, I'm good. So it's really hard for me to go back to that particular moment and be like, that's just how I got myself out of it. And I think at the end of the day, it was just really me talking to myself and really finding my own insecurities, and talking myself through those insecurities. And then, I think the way it went was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you feeling this way? Or why are you thinking like this? Right? Like, are you a dumbass? Are
Paul,
you a little wimp?
I'm thinking, I wish there was a support group for, social media partners back then.
Yeah.
We should have
Partner supporters.
We should have started a page where we could come to each other and be like, so this is how I'm feeling, and I'm in a dark place. How do you get
I'm
through
so
it?
insecure.
Oh my gosh,
What
yeah.
if like they find someone else?
I was fighting with
imagine-
him for no reason. Yeah.
And imagine what like artists, like big artists, like what their spouses or
Exactly.
partners feel like,
Mhm.
because
Exactly.
I'm sure they're all struggling through the same thing. They're trying to learn how to navigate through the waves, you know?
Yeah, and I think one of at that time, one of the things that really hurt was like Kim really didn't tell me anything either. So like every time she did it, or talked to her, like she did it on her own, and then by the time I found out, I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing? Where are you going?
The funny thing
What,
is that they never really meant to do that, but they're so like focused, like
on what
they're
we're
so
doing.
hyper. They're like their
Right.
content creative mind is just so hyper focused that they don't really stop to think, oh, I should inform my partner of this,
This
step
or
1,
that.
step 2, step 3, and then I was feeling attacked.
Yeah.
That's
true.
I was feeling attacked,
Like,
like he
that's
was
true.
doing this intentionally. Like, you're doing this on
Right.
purpose. You're leaving me out on
Right.
purpose, and you're riding this wave without me,
Well, without
and I
me,
was
when
like,
we are as one, you
but you
know?
know what's funny? It wasn't like that at all. I did that to myself.
Right, right. So at the end of the day, like I said, I really had to talk to myself to get out of it. And then and then from there and then till now, Kim even knows. Like Kim's like, "Oh, what if I leave you?" I'm like, "I'll be okay," because I have learned to be okay by myself.
Mm.
Like literally, not saying because of that, but
Mm,
in reality of life, it's like if
adapting.
you
Yeah.
have to be okay by yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's when you are at your strongest, and that's when you don't need to depend on anybody, and that you're
Hmm.
not dependent on somebody, and you don't have any insecurities of, oh no, don't do that, honey. I don't want you to go. Like, okay, go. Like you aren't gonna stop me from being me. Like
Hmm.
if you go, like it was for whatever reason, like I'm okay because I'm not gonna sit here and fight for you if you don't want to sit here and fight with me.
Mm.
Hmm.
I'd rather you go and I have my peace and I'm good.
Calvin, going back to it's all in your mind.
So
It,
yeah,
it really
eventually
is. It
I
really
talked
is.
myself out of that dark area that I was in,
Yeah.
and got me to where I'm at today. Yeah.
Hmm.
The funny thing is that hearing you both talk about this, I mean, well, first of all, it's so interesting
It's
how you're so
funny.
relatable. I mean, you both are saying the same exact thing, but it's just. But I
This
remember,
confirms a lot.
I remember her trying
It
to
is.
help me in the middle of all this that was happening. This is like the perfect storm, by the way. Like everything's just happening. No one's knowing what's happening. But
Mhm.
I remember her trying to help me, but it wasn't like a genuine help.
Nope. It wasn't.
It was
Right.
almost like
I was being
No,
nosy.
like I want to
into
help
what
you
you're
I was
trying to do.
because
being nosy.
I want to know what's going on,
Yes.
but at the same time I want to tear you down because I hate how you
Right.
become so famous
But
and
you know
everyone
what's
wants to take
funny?
a picture of you and the
I built
attention.
that page for him.
And then
you
that
know?
part, there's a resentment that comes in. Like I
did the same thing.
created you, and why are you getting
Yeah.
all this?
No,
So
it's exact
all
conversation
that was
conversation I
happening.
had
It's
with
so
her.
funny.
and I just remember like she was doing that. I'm just like, gosh, I don't want your help
He
anymore.
was like,
and I'm like, I just do
Yeah.
it
I
myself.
need
They
my
become bitter.
Yeah,
creative
it became really
space.
bitter, and I'm just like, okay, you can help, but then at the same time, like, but I don't want your help. Just leave me.
So
like,
you
just
know
let me
what he would
it.
do? He would be like, probably give me like petty little tasks.
Yeah, I might just be
to
like,
like
all right,
get me
just to
out of the
kinda,
way.
peasants.
Just so that I would feel valued.
He's like, don't worry, I can do this by myself.
It worked though. I felt valued for a little bit. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it.
It's so,
I fell for it.
It's so nasty at that time. It's just so weird because, okay, I'll be honest. I think this is true for anybody who's going through this process. Let me just give one example, and then I'll come back to this. Like the people who win like the lottery, for example.
Oh.
Like the statistics show that people who win the lottery for the first time, they usually go broke because they don't know how to deal with that money. They don't know what to do with it. So this kind of almost feels like it where I think all my life too, I think there's so much behind where always wanted to be seen, always wanted to be heard. Growing up as a kid, like of course I want my parents' attention, but when there's 7 of us, and that's not always the case.
Right.
When I go to school, developmentally, I want to be praised and be seen by the teachers and my peers. I don't want to be selected last on the playground. I mean, it starts on the playground too, where if there's a famous kid at school, you're like, man, I wish I was that kid. I wish everyone called my name or knew my name. So there's always that longing. But when this happened, it's almost like, oh my gosh, like, hey, I'm that kid on that playground. And it feels good. So like
The rush.
I can't deny that it felt really good. It was a good high that I was consumed by it. Like I was just so invested in it. I'm like, it feels nice. And I'm like, all right, people see me, people hear me. When I put stuff out there watching, I'm like, damn, I'm actually pretty cool. All these years that I've been thinking that I was a dumbass.
I thought you were pretty cool too. I
too.
did.
I
And
really did.
actually, you know what? I was gonna add on to what you were saying, right? It was like a adrenaline rush. It was a really nice high. And I think I did find
Dopamine rush.
myself, especially the first couple months to that first year, I found myself to be very consumed by
Mhm.
social media and like and let me know too if you can relate, right, Calvin? Because at some point I lost myself in it and
Yes.
it put me in a really dark place because I was just so consumed by the numbers and the viewers and like pleasing the audience and like giving them what they wanted
Yeah.
that I started to like I go through a little bit of identity crisis. Like I was like, and then of course too, you can't help but notice that there was other influencers and other artists that are really big and they build their audiences around their platform, right? And so when you start to look at their numbers and you look at yours, it's almost like, oh man, like I'm like
Mm.
nobody, you
Yeah.
know? Oh, I
Wow.
have to step up my game and I need
Right.
You
to do
compared
better, you know?
yourself?
Oh, of
Wow.
course.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a feeling, which
Mhm.
I didn't understand before because, I'm also, in the nail business, so I used to work on, a lot of my clients a few of my clients who were very physically beautiful and appealing, and they say that they no longer have a social media account, and I used to ask, like, "Why?" And they would be like, "Oh, I was just so busy comparing myself to other people, and I was
Mm.
seeing people's like lives on social media and what they put out there, and it just started making me look at myself and my life and self-reflecting that it put them down a lot. Sometimes it hurts their self-esteem, right? So then
Wow.
when that happened and it hit me, I was like, oh, I was starting to feel a little bit like, um, who am I?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Like, who do I think I am? Like,
Mhm.
and then of course too, like I was just like, oh, it put me in a really dark place. And then I think there was a point in my life I did kind of cry about it too, because I was so like focused on trying to put out like content videos that would go viral or hit numbers,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And when it didn't, it put me in a really bad place. And so I would, contact my friends and be like, oh, like this isn't good. Like I was too busy trying to seek approval by other people's opinions and views, right? And so then later and then they had to give me that pep talk, and I had some friends that are like, you just need to be yourself, and it doesn't matter. So I had to take a mental break from social media for a few weeks. And so when I gathered all my thoughts and I was more collective, then I was like, you know what? I am the baddest bitch in the block. I don't need approval from nobody. Like, I went in the game with this mentality. So where is she now? So
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
had to
Mhm.
bring her back, where
Right.
I was like, I just need to be myself. And it doesn't matter because if people are gonna like me, they're gonna like me for me, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
not for anything else.
Right.
So after that I decided that, like, you know what, I need to find a good balance because it's really messing up with my mental health. And I'm starting to lose myself through this whole entire platform and all this like content creating and videos. So when I was able to take that break, I came back and I was like, you know what, I think I could do this again. Let's try this again, right? Because at some point I even thought, I told Paul, like, maybe I should just delete this whole account altogether.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
um but seeing that I had so many followers, I mean, even you, Dick Dumdos, like when I saw I've been following you since 2019 and 2020. So even when like I looked at your account, I was like, I followed all your videos and I was like, oh, this guy is so cool, man. Like I want to be like him when I grow up, right? And I even thought to myself, like, oh man, he's got so many followers. He's got like 40 something at that time. You like had
Yeah.
40 something thousand followers. I think 60, maybe 50 or 60. I don't remember. But then I was like, damn, that's a lot of followers. And that was me stressing out because I was only at during that time, I was only in the thousands, right? I haven't
Mhm.
hit the two number digits yet. But I was even thinking to myself, like, I want to get that many followers. Like, what do I need to do to be like him, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's when I feel like your platform will consistently grow and continuously to grow when you are just being yourself. And I found that it was really easy to do that when I was able to stop comparing myself to other people, and I just needed to really focus on what kinds of contents I'm trying to bring out to the public. What is the message I'm trying to convey through these videos? What kind of comedy am I trying
Mhm.
to, or what kind of humor I'm trying to bring to the world, right? So when I started to do that, I the numbers didn't really matter to me anymore.
Mhm.
And then the next thing you know,
Mm.
I was just like, "Oh wow, like
I'm up in
um
numbers. Wow, I gained
yeah."
5,000
So
overnight or something
yeah,
like
so
that.
what I do
Mm.
now is I go on social media and I post my videos, and then I leave it alone after that.
Yeah.
I don't go snooping around anymore. I
Mhm.
just So when people ask me like, "Oh, you didn't see that this or you didn't see about that or you didn't." No,
Mhm.
I didn't, because I literally just post what I need to post,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
after that I jet out.
Yeah.
And if I do come back in, I just read what people are commenting on my videos, and then after that I leave again.
Mhm.
So I felt like I had to build that kind of mindset and that kind of foundation around my platform so that it could
Mm,
make me have a better like just to help with my mental stability.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a
Hmm.
caution in that. And I'm listening to you talk, and I do remember myself going through the same exact experience
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah.
the high was so high and the dopamine rush was so overwhelmingly
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
satisfying
Mm-hmm.
that whenever I didn't get the views that I wanted,
Hmm.
I would, okay, so for example, I would spend like maybe a few hours on putting a video together. I would release it, and then in my mind, I'm expecting maybe like 10,000 views, for example, because of the track ready. And when it gets like, I don't know, 500 views only, I'm like, dang, like what happened? So like you,
It's
I
He
discouraging a
yes,
starts
little
to
super
bit.
like,
discouraging, and
yeah,
then
and
it's
he
almost
starts
like
to
the
like,
dopamine rush is not
yep,
there. I'm
get
like,
into
dang.
it.
So exactly your words. I started snooping as well. I'm like, let me go see
Yeah.
what these other content creators are doing, so that I would go start watching people's videos and looking at people's videos and reading the comments to see what
Mm-hmm.
people are looking for. So then that gave me an idea. So I started making the video, and then it got more views. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting somewhere. So then I go watching again people's videos, and I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing different. Let me try that. So I
Hmm.
started trying
Hmm.
all these different things,
Mm-hmm.
and just like you said, I got lost
Yeah.
because I
Hmm.
wasn't true to myself anymore. It wasn't me in the beginning anymore. Like when
Hmm.
things first started, that was
Mm-hmm.
truly me. But throughout the process, I started chasing that high and wanted that
Hmm.
high back, the
Mm-hmm.
view counts and everything, the engagement, the
Hmm.
attention that I couldn't find in my videos anymore. So I started becoming someone else and taking people's things that it wasn't true to me anymore. And
Hmm.
sometimes it did give me the views that I wanted, but then when it didn't feel right.
Hmm.
So just like you, I took some time
Yeah.
away. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to reevaluate because I'm losing my purpose. Why did I start this in the first place? Why did I
Hmm.
put out that first video, and how come I deviated so far from it? And I went
Hmm.
to reflect on that, and I realized I'm not true to myself anymore. I'm not
Hmm.
true to what my purpose was anymore. That's why when I put out the videos, and it's not giving that the fulfillment, the purpose, because I'm not chasing. I'm not fulfilling the purpose that I set out to do in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now
Hmm.
suddenly chasing numbers now. And when I
Yeah.
don't get those numbers, I'm dissatisfied. And I feel
Yeah.
like I'm a failure. I feel worthless,
Discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
discouraged. I feel like I'm not measuring up to all these other content creators. And now I'm chasing numbers only, and it's not me anymore. So I had
Yeah.
to take a hiatus for a little bit. Like there was a
Hmm.
period
Yep.
that I was gone for like maybe 7, 8 months, and people were like,
You were
"Where
gone at
are
some
you?"
point where your
Hmm.
videos
I
stopped
was,
Mm-hmm.
appearing, and
yeah,
I was kind of like, "What happened to him?" And then all of a sudden, you came back out nowhere again. I was
Yep.
like, "Whoa,
yeah.
I thought he disappeared."
I did. I disappeared. I'm like, I need to stop because one, I'm losing myself. Two, we were like having a lot of issues
Right.
because
Yeah.
of what was happening too with
Mm-hmm.
all of this, and
Yep.
just me
Hmm.
being pulled into like the community and showing up to different
Hmm.
places,
Yeah.
and we were just losing ourselves in our marriage too.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was like being present was really hard, even for the kids and whatnot. And he'll always be on his phone. He'll always be on
Yeah.
his phone, reading like what you're saying, or looking at it, or checking your reviews and checking your page, and you start to be so consumed by the attraction, the trend. Am I trending? Am I not trending? And all this stuff. And he wasn't even on any other platforms. He was just solely focused on Facebook. And then after a while, he started to be like, okay, I know it is. The formula is that I need other socials. Maybe I should be on Twitter. Maybe I should be on Instagram. He started to be like, what if this? What if that? I'm like, you're just adding to the fire. You're just
Yeah.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
like step back. You're not
Yeah.
going to be able to control this. So
Yeah.
yeah, it took a
Yeah. He
while.
had And I think Paul can relate a lot to you too, Zon, because like Paul was just like, because sometimes I'll be so adamant because of my audience would be like, yeah, go bro, mo to yon do not chipo go niya," and like, when are you gonna come back? So it's like that pressure of trying that
Mm-hmm.
pressure that we have to be more present in on social media, and we have to be more
Active.
active,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
sometimes I will, I feel that pressure, and I'll tell Paul like it's almost like an assignment that we have to do now,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and especially when your social media when you're being monetized, and then like your
Mm-hmm.
platform is always like encouraging you to make more videos too
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Right.
requests from the audience and the numbers that are hitting high, that they're like, oh, you have to be consistent to hit these numbers, you can get more money. So, I was always thinking that way. So I was very pressed about having Paul, like, we have to make a video this week. We have to make a video, like, or another one. Like sometimes we'll
Yep.
do once a week, twice a
Right.
week, or if we can do three.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just tell me like, calm down.
You need to relax, chillax.
He's like, you need to relax.
That's
Like,
funny.
it's okay to not do one. Okay. Matter of fact, it's okay if you never have to do one again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It really is.
Delete it.
Don't get me wrong. With the monetization, it's when we get paid, it's money we don't worry about, right? It's
Mhm.
just extra cushion, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I told her, I'm like, even before this, we were okay. This just give us the extra, just so that we don't worry about it. But I'm like,
Mhm.
if you never do this again, I'm fine with that, and you ought to be too, because you're stressing yourself out over this.
Yeah.
I'm over here just watching you stress out, and I'm like, I could be laughing, but I'm also stressed because you're stressed.
But Calvin, it's the pressure, like, to say if we didn't know each other, like you've been gone, you went hiatus for 8 months,
Yeah.
right? I'm pretty sure you came across some people who went back to your old videos and they'll comment like, "Oh man, like where have you been?" Like,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure if like me as a viewer would like reached out to you or like even made a comment, because I would have people DM me, right? Like, "Oh yeah, chipo, go now,"
Mhm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to reach out like, "Hey Calvin, like where have you been? Like, I haven't seen your videos." You're gonna feel somewhat like obligated to come out with new contents, right?
Yes.
Because you have viewers that is depending on you who are like, "Oh, you know what? Thank you. Your videos has helped me through this. Thank
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
because of your videos. It's been
Right.
like it's so empowering. It's so this and so that. It's helped other people in ways that we can't really understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mhm.
gonna feel like a sense of duty to um to
Uphold it.
yeah, to put out
Uphold.
some more, yeah, uphold it and put out some more
Right.
content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that pressure was always there. Like I do remember that.
Mhm.
Like even though I was on hiatus and I wanted to reflect, like I just can't help it. Like my brain is like, don't go online, don't go read the comments, don't check your notification,
Fail
because
every time.
there was just
Yeah.
like this. When I saw the notification, and you see like the 9+, right? You're like, dang, there's a lot of notification. I want to see what it's all about. And it's just like a addiction, It was just at that time like, like I just can't, don't touch it. But then
Yep.
I find myself pressing it and I start reading it, and then like 2 hours goes by and I'm like replying on it, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Then I'm like, are you coming to bed?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm like reading stuff, and I'm like, I'm
You're like,
studying, but I'm not
just
really
buy more,
studying.
just buy more.
Mhm.
But there was
know?
just, there was just this lost sense of self throughout that process. But
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I also hear that even in this personally, I think you probably have spoken to this already too, Kim, there's this self-discovery that came out of it. Redefining, refining as well,
Mm-hmm.
finding ourselves when we first started this and what that purpose was. And then also
Mm-hmm.
integrating into all of this our spouse too. Like I had to really pull her back in, because at one point
Mm-hmm.
she did say to me, if I tell you to hit delete, would you do it?
And he
I
was
remember
like,
asking
he was
me
like,
that.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I was like,
No.
let me
he
think about that.
he actually was honest though. He goes, yeah, no.
Well,
Yeah.
I told her if I delete it,
And I was like,
it would have to be
know?
because there was a purpose for deleting it. And I asked her, like, am I deleting this because it's hurting us? Am I deleting this because you have something going on that you can't share with me? Or am I deleting this for other reasons? Because when we went back to the purpose of why Dictum Dose started, it was that it was empowering. It was helpful. People came to it. People were drawn to it
Yeah.
because they also lost a part of themselves, an identity, as a result of being displaced here in the U.S. There's Hmong identity that we hold that people were searching because they couldn't feel whatever it was that was lost. And through the Banglo and the teaching, it really gave them that sense of identity again. And that's how I felt when I was making the videos. And so I told her, if I delete it, am I really deleting it for the right reason? And then
Right.
she was like, don't delete it. I'm like, okay. Let's keep it.
Yeah.
Let's keep it.
She's
Let's,
like,
let's go
"Ooh."
back and figure out why we started in the first place.
But we probably need some counseling. Don't delete it.
We
but,
need to talk
whew,
about
you know,
the purpose.
Yeah.
And so we had to redefine Dictum Dose all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did.
And sometimes it's fine because I feel like even with Paul too, it's the same thing because he built Life of KPH, and it was supposed to revolve around
Life
Yeah.
of K,
Of
P,
K,
H,
P,
Paul,
Paul.
and
It was
it
just
just
life of Kim.
and it just became Life of Kim. But we added the KPH for
Mhm,
those viewers that don't know, but K stands for Kim, and then P Paul, H for Hanzo, right?
Mm,
And then my nail business
mhm,
under our LLC is KPH Nails, right?
mm,
So he just thought, what a brilliant, bright idea if we can just do we can just name your
Mhm.
brand Life of KPH, right? And it will just be about us and the contents that we
Mhm.
choose to create. So I was like, that's amazing. But then um when I came out, we had a lot of good positive feedbacks,
mhm.
but then also too, I saw how ugly
People are.
people
oh
are.
my
And
gosh. Yep.
then I realized that I don't think it's necessary
Mm.
for us to continue if we are continue to do this is to put my son into
Mhm,
our content videos, because I just don't think he's prepared or ready for the world yet,
Hmm.
like we are his world, right? So we get
Mhm.
to dictate that for him and control that, right? So I just decided, we'll keep the brand, but we are not gonna always have Hanzo
mhm,
into our contents because he's so young. And I think he's too young to understand. And I think because we are his parents, that we understand what it
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
that it hurts us more, right? So
Yeah.
we just decided, if people can be this cruel to us and we're adults, imagine what
Yeah.
it can do to a child, right? It'll
Right.
crush him.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So that's why we decided to just keep our contents based on Life of K and P.
yeah.
And with the H is still there, but
Mhm.
because we're adults and we're able to you know, take in all these criticism. And yeah, so I feel like even now, like, yeah, it is like you do see me a lot in it, but I've also learned to make sure that that he's included in all my contents and our
Mhm.
travels and everywhere we go, because
Hmm.
he is a part of Life of KPH, So when people tell us like, "Oh, are you?" I'm like, "No, we're doing it," because
Hmm.
I think sometimes
Mhm.
because I am the face of Life of KPH, that people forget that he is the founder of Life of KPH, right? So he deserves just the same amount of credit as I
Mhm.
do.
In the beginning, I did that too. I think
Yeah.
that's part of why she felt so alone, was
Mhm.
because in the beginning, I didn't want to include them in the platform. I
Yeah.
just wanted to be me and I wanted to protect them. So
Uh,
if
uh,
anything,
excuse me, your memory is not serving you well. I said I don't want to be in
yes.
there.
So she
I
didn't want
said
to
the
be in
kids
there.
cannot be in there. I felt so uncomfortable being on camera and having the criticism, like what you're
Hmm.
saying,
Mhm.
because at that time, honestly, when he started that page, if you remember, most of the artists, like I was saying earlier, was very, very more sexified and sexualized in a certain way where they were kind of just selling themselves.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't want to be compared to the market of what it was right now at that time. And also I couldn't stand the criticism of if people were to be like, she's not pretty enough for him. He needs
Mhm.
another wife. I didn't think I can handle that. I was like, personally, I don't think I can handle the criticism of what people think about
Ah,
your partner. And actually,
yeah,
I was like, I didn't want to be part of it, so they couldn't criticize me. So
yeah.
I don't think I
Right.
was even part of his videos until like maybe 2
She
years ago.
wasn't. And that was a double edged sword because she wasn't a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't share anything about her or my kids or my family.
People didn't even
So
know he was married.
everybody thought I was
I
single.
didn't know.
We didn't
I was
know.
gonna add
Yeah.
that on earlier too. I did not know he was married
Yes. So
until
everybody thought I was single in the beginning.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, damn,
Mhm.
that's why you got all those
So that's where all the
nasty
DMs
DMs.
came in.
yeah.
Be like,
And then I learned that
mm,
you had like kids, and I was like, wait, what? My
Yeah.
Mhm.
mind is blown,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you were married until I saw that video with
Yeah, that when I think when Zonya finally got in the video with you, you were doing
I
something.
think I
She
saw
was.
though I think I saw one.
It was the video that they did together. The
Oh
very
yeah.
first video they did. I forgot what it was, but I think Zonya was Nikeke,
Yes.
and
Oh, and you had
oh,
glasses on.
it was
You were on the
his
computer.
real.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 That was again during the pandemic. There was nothing else to do, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I told him I didn't want to be part of it in the very beginning. That's how it ended up being that it's just him.
Well, Zong, if it makes you feel any better, when I saw that video, I was like, oh my God, his wife is so beautiful. That's why he doesn't want her to be on his like social media platform doing these contents with him. Because sometimes some people, they try to protect their partners and their families, right, from like the criticism. And so, I just thought like, oh, maybe he was hiding her because she's so pretty, and like people might, because there's some thirsty people out here.
Oh, girl.
Okay, let's move on to that. Okay, let's move on to the next part here.
Because he was about to touch up on that thirsty.
Yes, there is that part too, because
your
like,
thirsty nation. That's your next group.
A part of me was I wanted to protect them, but I think you and Paul talked about insecurity. I think for me, there was an insecurity on my end too. Like I didn't want my wife to be on there. I didn't want people to be looking at her and be like, ooh, like start DMing her, because I know what that's like. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I think I'm gonna leave her out for now, because like, but then I masked it. I'm like, I'm protecting you. But I think underneath that, there's a part of me where I'm like, I wouldn't want no guys texting you or DMing you, and you're trying to hit you up. So that part of me, I was like, I don't want that either, because I don't think I could have handled that. So
Calvin said, "Let the thirst come to me."
Exactly. I'm just gonna absorb it all.
And girl,
hide the wife, hide the kids.
People were. Oh my goodness, it's funny because he made a video, or not a video, but a picture of that hide your wife, hide your kids, when that guy came out with the hide your wife, hide your kids.
Hide your kids.
But in general, like, because that happened, I actually remember him actually really soaking up those DMs too, because you're on a high. That actually affected our marriage. That actually affected the way that he was projecting himself later into his content, because he knew that thirsty people were watching.
Well, and at the same time,
we're the views.
We're having a lot of like marital issues too. So that was almost like my escape. And the attention that I wasn't getting at home, I was getting it virtually. So that was the part I got lost too.
In a different place. And I actually didn't really realize that until we actually went into more of like therapy, where we can actually share this, or just like counseling, where we can share this experience with each other. Because at the time, if he told me, I would have been so jealous. I didn't even know about some of them at all.
I mean, and then Calvin too, like I'm sure, Zong, you guys been married for so long that you're a physically appealing person too. So like when people didn't know you were married, I'm sure a lot of women were like, well, damn,
Oh yeah.
He got a tongue twisting mouth on him. He know how to do fuckwood,
Yeah, for real.
He's smart. He's intelligent.
Oh my gosh, some of the comments.
And I'm sure people are like, "Ooh, like he's available," and so am I.
Yeah. No, some people were like, seriously, the comments that people would be like, I don't even care what he's saying. I don't understand. I don't even understand Modeling. I just know that I want to look at him.
I didn't, but I was still watching you.
But people were looking at him and watching him, because there is this like possession of like how attractive he was for them, maybe, and seeing his content, they're just like, I could just look at those lips all day long. And it wasn't just women; it was men.
It was funny. I mean, it was hilarious at the time, but. It was because she was like fuming over that. Like it was bothering her so much.
It bothered me that men want to be with him too. I was like, I'm so jealous right now.
You can look at your mouth all day. Calvin, remember that little bajo that you said with a little tongue twister, and I made Paul do it with your voiceover?
He's like, with
the voiceover.
And I was like, damn.
It's hilarious. Oh man, that was the feeling constantly all the time. I cut myself off, because I was getting to the point where not just the consumption was eating me alive, but I started to really resent him, and then I started to pin myself against him and come up with my own ways to get back at him with my own achievements. Yes, with my own goals.
She had to pick herself up. She had to show me like what you're missing out on.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and get a promotion. I'm gonna do this and do that with my life too. Because I didn't want him to.
She got a whole life planned ahead of you.
I did. Like, oh my goodness, I did. I was planning all these things. Yep. I was planning it. And he kind of knew, but he didn't really know. But I started to be like, I'm gonna keep myself busy and get ahead while you
Get
think
away
that,
from all that.
yeah, while you
Right.
think that you're getting yourself ahead, I'm gonna get myself ahead too.
I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
one up you all the time.
Yes.
He's
Mhm.
I'm gonna one up you all the
All the
time.
time.
Did you do that, Paul?
I didn't. No, I didn't really.
No, okay.
Like I said, I helped Kim through her nail career and business, and then help her through this. I'm just a guy who likes to
He's
support
very
on the back
supportive,
end.
and I think he,
Mhm.
not to invalidate any of your feelings, because he
I
did
did,
have some
oh
of
yeah,
those
for
feelings
sure,
too. But
yeah.
I think he took it as, you know what, I can't beat her. I might as well join her.
Well, I feel like it's a little bit
We in this
different
together.
because it was
It is
about
different,
you. It was like life of you two, right?
right?
Mhm.
And I feel like because of that, you put yourself out there so much already that, it's a platform that's going to uplift you and your family and your spouse.
hmm
But for his platform, it was not about us. It was
It was
definitely,
revolved around
yeah,
him.
it was definitely not
Yeah.
about us, and it was never going to. That direction was never going to change.
Right. It was
His
never gonna
creative
curveball
direction.
something
Yep,
else.
it was never going to be about us. So I think ours was really rocky because of that. In general, it was
He's
hard to get
like
away.
Zong was like, watch me. I'm gonna create my own account. I'm gonna create my own YouTube. I'm gonna go big.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, we just think about it now. We would look back about some of the
It's just
conversations and how
yeah.
Shiki, how
It,
Shiki.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
laugh at it
because
now.
Calvin,
Yes.
how long have you've been doing this since when? 2018,
Yeah, I'm gonna say like
right?
2018. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you've been in the game for a while. So when you guys are discussing about the Rocky,
Mm-hmm.
um, in your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
was that in the earlier years when you guys were when you coming into it?
I think so. I think like when I first started,
Mm-hmm.
things started to trend down, and then it came
Mm-hmm.
back up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but then it went right back down. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like what she was saying there. I think that's the part that started to change things because when I first started, I was really, really like, super invested in it. Like I spent a lot of time in it. She wasn't a part of it, so things went down. And then I realized, okay, I'm not including her. She's getting lost in the process, so I included her.
Mm-hmm.
But then I quickly got myself into that rut I was talking about, where I'm like, my views are not going up. I'm losing my audience. So I need to redefine myself. So I got right back into it. And then I started going down again. And I think that's the part where she was like, you know what? I need to focus on myself too. And then I'm like feeling like she's not supporting me. So I'm like, forget about you. And then she's like, I'm going to work on myself. So she started working on herself. And that creates some distance. And then now we're just kind of like on our own.
And then we
for a
end up
while.
being just kind of like roommates in a house. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. What
Yeah,
social
it
media
can
can
do a
do
lot.
Oh,
to
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least
a
married couples, because
relationship. Yeah.
talking about that, a lot of artists and other influencers, they're not married like how
Yeah.
we are.
Mm-hmm.
That way, that's why they can
Mm-hmm.
enjoy what they do and not really stress over it. But mo puñetada, and mo
Mm-hmm.
titana. It's harder to balance that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Being parents,
Mm-hmm.
one,
Mm-hmm.
and then two, you have careers, so we're all still professionals at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then three, you are a content creator too, so you have to produce that too. So it's just not like Deutsche Open or
Mm-hmm.
Tina, it's like they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do
Mm-hmm.
without any setbacks or
Mm-hmm.
any strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't need to ask your permission. I just if I get by as well,
Yeah.
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 But there are some other artists that are married, right? That people
Mhm,
don't know about. So it actually puts a strain on their relationships
mhm,
too, because
Mm-hmm.
then, they promote their music and artistry, and they don't promote their wives on it. So sometimes the
and vice
public
versa.
doesn't understand and don't see it. They
Mhm,
don't know, they're
Mm-hmm.
oblivious to it. So, and sometimes that does, like, it does create a bruise in their relationship, right? Because then when they
Mm-hmm.
go out and then people don't know,
Mm-hmm.
um then they have all this attention, and sometimes it puts a strain on the relationship, because maybe the wife is very, like, overwhelmed and overstimulated by
Yeah.
all the attention that their husband or wife is getting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah.
I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
we have artist friends, so I think we know a few that has gone through some of those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it works the same ways when you're
mhm,
in the public eye, being an influencer, an artist, somewhat anywhere in the entertainment
Right.
world. I think it
Yeah.
affects us all the
Mm-hmm.
same way, in a very also in a very different way too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of public outing, what's it like for you, Kim? Your family, and also Paul too. Like when you both go out and people ask to like take pictures with you.
Mhm.
Like, what's that like for you and your family to have people just come up to you randomly?
They don't worry about me. They just ask for her picture. They come to me. Oh, I know you, but I'm actually looking for you. I'm like,
I know
yeah,
you. Yeah.
you know.
You.
I think in North Carolina, because it's such it's a smaller amount of Hmong people here,
Yeah.
that I think it's okay. But then sometimes, like if we go to the New Year or like bigger events, then like of course, we still have a lot of people come up and say hi and want to take pictures. Um, did you ask me what my like reaction is to it?
Yours or like just like your family that
Oh,
knows
my
you.
family.
Yeah.
So okay, so here's an example. And when I go to the New Year's with my in-laws, what my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, what they do is they end up walking away because, like,
Yeah.
we come together, right? So then
Yeah.
you're
Right.
expecting to move together through the
Yeah.
crowd,
They're like,
right?
well, we'll
And
just
then when you
let you do that.
right, so when they're watching me get stopped every couple minutes, and then I mean, at some point they formed a line.
Oh
They
yes.
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 and I was like, "Oh, there's a line here for me."
Yep.
And so, I remember my mom was just like, "Just turn don't buy it," and I was like, "I'm sorry, there's a line."
What do I
And
do?
so sometimes they just walk away,
Right.
I don't
Mhm.
think my mom and dad has really experienced that with me yet because
Mm.
I don't really go anywhere with them, and honestly, we don't go out a lot at
Yeah.
all unless it's just like
New Year's
New
or
Year's or like if
that's
we're going
really
to our
it. Or
concerts.
yeah,
Mhm.
hmm
not even that. I mean, we're at concert, we're backstage. So
Yeah. So normally, so basically, like we have this kind of a rule is that like we don't talk about our social media life to
mhm.
our friends or families.
Mm-hmm.
We keep that very separated. I think sometimes with my friends, if they ask, then I'll let them know. Or if I'm coming up with like a
Yeah.
new song, then I'll ask them like, "What do you think I should do about this and that?" Like a
Mm.
But yeah,
small
but yeah,
project.
we don't go
Mhm.
openly like, "Hey, dude, guess what I just did? I went to Cali. I went this,
Yeah.
went
Yeah,
that."
we
You know,
don't
Oh.
talk about it.
we actually let them initiate the conversation
Mm-hmm.
if they want to,
hmm
and then we just quickly get in it and then get out.
Yeah.
But was it
And then,
always
oh
like
hey,
that? Did you feel like it was always like that, or did you feel like you had to get into that groove later, finding out that people just don't want to? You know what I mean? Like people don't want to be
Uh,
in that space with you.
no, I think I think we're just
Mhm.
very
I think we were just
considerate
very
people.
conscious about that.
Conscious.
And
Okay.
conscious about
Just
it.
because
Mhm.
I mean, we've only been in it so long, but as soon as we got into it and learned the ropes, I guess we knew exactly what was coming.
hmm
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and thankfully, I think both our families are very respectful about
hmm
that.
hmm
They see us out there like that. Although, y'all doing good. What's next for you guys?
Mm.
Yeah.
And then like quick conversation, we tell them what's up, and then we're on a whole other topic like
Yeah.
cornholing or
Mhm.
drinking beer or something. It's
Mhm.
totally
Yeah,
off of
because
what we
I
do.
think we have enough attention from the public when
Yeah.
we travel or even like every since time we go out to
Mhm.
these big events, right? We
Mhm.
have so
Right.
much attention from that already that we get so overwhelmed and overstimulated. So
Mhm.
sometimes when we come back to reality, we come back to the real world, we just need to be ourselves around our families and our
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And so like we don't bring it up unless they just ask like, "Hey, how was
Mhm.
this?" or "How was that?" Then we'll just say, "Oh, it was great. We had fun." But we never get into details, right? To
Right.
say exactly what went down or how we felt or every
Mm.
second of
Mhm.
our experience that
Experience.
while we were there.
Experience.
You
Yeah,
almost had a new word there.
Yeah.
Australian.
Experience.
experience.
Espellia.
Yeah, experience.
Espellia.
But
Experience.
we
But
try
yeah,
we
I
try
think our
not
friends
to.
are very. I mean, they're neutral.
Mhm.
That's
I think a lot of
good.
them are finally seeing
Mhm.
what she's doing and what we're
Yeah.
doing,
Mhm.
and really just kind of riding the flow with it.
And I
Cause
think it's just nice to just
mhm,
separate all that too,
yeah,
because
Yeah.
yeah, like high, right? You go out, you have that much attention already. And so when you're with your friends and family, it's
you
just
don't
like you don't want to bring it up and like you don't always want to talk about it
like that
because
shouldn't be the topic of every time we
yes,
Yeah.
meet.
because it's
Right.
exhausting
Mhm.
already as is, right? And then like
Mhm.
then you come around your friends and family, and then because sometimes like even like his family, like his cousins and his brothers and them, like when we go to these big functions,
Oh yeah.
everybody's always like,
Oh, Miss KPH.
"Oh my god, oh, KPH," right? And so they
Yeah.
cause this, like, big scene where
Yeah.
people are
And
looking
that's just them being funny and being
right.
Oh
family and
yeah.
brothers.
And
Gosh, my
I and
family
I'm
does
I'm
that
always like,
too.
"No, like,
Yes.
don't
Yeah,
do
I'm like,
that," you
I'm not
know?
Paul. I'm Jeff. guys, I'm Jeff.
Like, yeah, we'll say things like, "Oh, stop," like, "Don't do that," right? Because we went to a wedding in Georgia, and everybody's like,
Oh yeah,
and
they're like,
like,
oh, that's creepy.
because everybody kind of thought it was me, but
Yeah,
then
but we go incognito, so like all of our families that we know and we go to stuff like that, like they have people that know of us, but they don't know that we are family with them, like
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
close,
yeah.
like blood family.
Yes.
And we show up, and they're like, is that what they
Yeah,
do?"
they're
yeah, they just
curious. Yeah.
assume they're like
Yeah,
they're curious,
but
but
we're
they
over
don't
here like,
know.
no, we're not.
Yeah,
Bye.
and then his cousins and his brothers would be like, KPH, and that's when the crowd is like, "Oh my god, I knew that was
Yeah,
you,"
they're
and
all
I'm
like
just like,
thinking. Yeah.
That's so
I'm
funny.
like, "Don't do that."
That's hilarious because you guys have very prevalent, facial features. So it's almost impossible to not know that it's you.
Right.
They know it's not Jeff.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I'm Jeff. I'm not Paul. But the funny thing is too, my little brother, right? He's my younger brother, but he looks and talks very similar to me.
It looks just like
Like
him.
we look just like if I didn't have my perm, like we were like identical twins. Because like he'll go to places and like they're like, oh, there's Paul for KPH. I'm like, dude, if they say that, ride with it, buddy.
Yeah.
Take it.
Just take it.
Take
Take it.
Yeah,
Go with
say
it.
yes.
Take a picture.
Yeah,
Be
take
like,
it. Be like, yeah, I'm Paul. What's up?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
take it.
That's
So every
too
time it
funny.
happens, he tells me like, even in town, and where he goes up to like Hickory or some other places, and meet people that never seen me before, but only see me on
oh
the
yeah.
He's like,
Yeah, I'm Paul.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, are you Paul? I'm like, dude, next time you be like, yeah, you're Paul. Just take it, dude. Take the credit. I don't care.
Yeah.
And then
Just
also
tag
too
me.
with my friends.
That's funny.
Also too with my friends though, like I don't want I hate to say the word fame, right? But
Mm,
I don't want my fame to define my
Right.
relationship with them,
right.
That like,
Mhm.
oh, I am this big person and I'm gonna talk about this, and it doesn't really give us the time to really get to know each other outside of social media
Mhm.
and also entertainment. So I want them to really know me outside of that and just for me,
Yeah.
and appreciate me,
Mhm.
without all of that.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't avoid the conversation. If they want to ask, I'm totally open to it. But for the most part, though, I like to separate my social media life, my entertainment life from my personal life. And I was gonna ask you the same too, Calvin. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, do you keep them separate, or do you kind of try to
How does
balance
your
it out,
family?
or how is that?
Yeah, I keep
How
it
does your
separate because I feel like
Mm.
this is one of those things where unless you're in it, you can't relate to it. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean it in a way where if I start talking about my experience and they haven't gone through it, it's really hard for them to connect and relate to it. Like I notice right now as we're talking about it, all the four of us can relate to it. We're like, yeah, because we've been through it and we
Right.
share that similar
Mhm.
mutual experience. But if I share this with like my family and friends,
They'll just be
they're like, oh, great, that's
okay.
cool. So it's almost like,
Yeah.
there's nothing much to talk about there unless you
Right.
you have the lived experience. So
Yeah.
I keep it separate. I don't talk about it as much. But then, my family's always the same thing. They joke around. Whenever we go to places and there's not among
it's really
people,
funny.
they'll be like, hey, are you Dick Dum Dells? Like super loud, just for fun. I'm like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, like the people, they're already suspecting. They're like, is that him? They're always thinking.
Yeah.
But once one person like comes up and say, hey,
Yo,
are you Dick Dum
And
Dells?
then
I'm
the
like,
line- the
And
line
then they're like,
starts.
can I get a picture?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure. And then when they do that, then just like you, it opens up the door, right? And the people are like, oh, it is him. And then the
It's
line
really
forms.
cute
But
though,
it's okay. I'm okay
because
with that.
when we're together, it's like maybe we're eating together at a restaurant or something, and our kids are there. The kids would be like, "Daddy, is that your friend?
I'm like,
Who's
yeah.
that? Is that your friend?"
my
Our kids,
followers.
and then eventually when they got older, was it maybe one of our older kids are like, "Dad's famous? What does he even do?" Like they don't understand.
Yeah.
Of course, they're too young. They don't understand what he's saying half the time. And then when people say, "Yeah, your dad's famous," they're like, "No, he's not."
He doesn't
They
have
just totally
millions
write
of
him off.
followers. I'm like, what?
Yeah, they just totally write him off.
But Paul, the funny thing, like when you're talking about your brother, I have a brother too who people think
Can
he
be
looks
him.
just like me. So
yeah.
Is that the one that we met in California?
no.
No, I
So
don't think
my
you met him
older
yet.
brother, yeah. So
Yeah.
my older brother, people look at him, they think that he's me. So one time we were at Checker Bar in Minnesota. And
Nice.
we were at Checker Bar in Minnesota. We're just hanging out. And then this girl comes up. And me and my brother were sitting next to each other, right?
Yeah.
So this girl comes up and she comes directly to my brother. And she had my profile on her phone already. She was like,
Oh,
"Are
my
you
God.
him?" Like that. It was my Dick and Balls page to my brother. And my brother looked at it. He was like, "No, that's him. He's right there." She looked at me, and then she looked at my brother. She was like, "No, you're lying. You're a Dick Dum Dose." And then I was like, "Yeah, that's him."
That's
So I
him.
walked out.
Yeah, that's
Picture
him.
with her instead.
But it was clearly that she wasn't,
Oh,
leveled.
so
Right.
funny.
Yeah, I think she might
She
have
looked
had
at
one
him.
too
She looked
many.
at me. She was like eyeballing me. She was like, "You're lying. You're a Dick
It
Dum
was
Dose."
hilarious.
I
And
just walked
they
out.
took
I'm like,
pictures
"Yo,
together.
like, take a picture of him.
No,
He's cool."
I would have done the same
Kelvin
thing.
was like, "Yeah, you stay here, and I'm gonna go over
Yeah.
there."
Yeah. Like,
It was
yes,
awesome.
take them, don't stay.
Oh, so funny.
So we
That's
never
hilarious.
let him live it down. We're like, if we need a double, you're gonna come
Yeah,
in.
I got you.
2.0. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's
but I
hilarious.
agree with you though. Like, sometimes like people just can't relate to your experience. So
Mhm.
when you like let them know, and you're talking about these things and they're just kind of like chirp, 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 like,
Mhm.
yeah, they can't understand. They can't really relate to you. So, um, what I did after that was I slowly learned how to connect and make friends with a few social media influencers such as yourself
Mm.
and
Mhm.
other people who can relate, right? And that way they can kind of be my compass and help
Yeah.
me navigate my ways too. What did you learn through this? What kind of advice could you give me? So
Mhm.
it could save me some time. So, I think it's really nice to connect with genuine people in
Mhm.
the entertainment world who
Mhm.
wants what's what's best for you too. So I was able
Mhm.
to make those connections and I don't have a whole lot, but because it's hard to build
It's
these
just hard
connections. It's
to,
hard to,
Yeah.
genuine,
yeah,
long-lasting
relationships.
Mhm.
relationships, especially
hmm
with other
and you
people.
don't know what people's
Right,
intentions are, right? I think sometimes you have an idea of people, but I don't
right.
think you actually really know
Know what
who they
Right.
are or what their intentions
Mhm.
are, right? So
Right.
I think it doesn't matter in what kind of field of area or jobs or
Yep.
industry you work in, you have to still be what is it, cautious?
hmm
Yes.
Mhm.
But I've been blessed to have at least maybe like five I could count that has been able to help me get through some of these
hurdles.
experiences.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, before we segue off into our next segment here,
Mhm.
speaking of advice, what advice would you both have for people who want to start creating content, want to start
Mm.
doing this kind of thing?
Mhm.
Could be a single person, or it could be just like us, a person who also has a spouse. Like, what advice do you have?
Um, don't be afraid to be yourself. I said be authentic, but you never know unless you put yourself out there. And enjoy the ride,
Mhm.
and don't get too consumed. Don't lose yourself in the process.
Mhm.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
And also just support each other, and then
hmm
come to an understanding of each other's boundaries,
Mhm.
uh, and really understand or know why you do what you do.
Mhm.
You can't just do it without a purpose, right? Because
hmm
if you go in blindly, then again you will lose yourself, and you won't be genuine. Because at the end of the day, if you are yourself, I mean that's again then there. If you are yourself, and then you are yourself out there, but if you are different here and then you're out there, you're different, then again it becomes a fake scheme or like a two-faced
hmm
thing where you're only really doing for the clout or the chase or
Yeah.
the
hmm
crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I say definitely just especially for spouse that are trying to get into this. It's gonna be a lot of work for sure, but you just got to really support each other,
hmm
understanding each other, where each other's coming from, and communicate. You really got to communicate.
Mhm.
Um, and at the end of the day, that's really the way to make it work is just support each other. Don't let each other fall, because with one falls, the other tower's gonna fall too.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. That's great advice. And I'm going to take that advice for myself too, because I'm still in the game and we still go through this
We
roller coaster
all,
ride all the
Mhm.
time too.
Yeah, for sure.